it's Amanda. Haven't done a live for a very long time. I can't even remember. My last video was, when was my last video? Don't know. A long time ago. Anyway, tonight I'm going to be on here. It's been a really bad week, and I really wanted to come on and just explain what's been happening. And yeah, so that's what I'm going to do. I'm going to post, if I can, I'm doing this on my phone, which is not my usual thing to do, but I'm going to see. Okay, so yeah. So I wanted to see if I could just post a link. Okay. I'll copy the link. Okay. And I'm going to share it. Share it there. Okay. So lovely. I just wanted to share it. I see 2 people already in the room. I've shared it with some of my WhatsApp people that I promised to share it with. Somewhere where I need to actually write the link I want to share with you, but I'll get to that just now. Maybe one of you can comment and then it'll show up. So great. So as I mentioned, haven't done a live for a long time. I'm here in Italy. My name's Amanda. If you're new to the channel, then perhaps you won't know what I normally comment about. I live in Italy, and usually we do a live to update people who are thinking of moving to Italy or France. That's not what we're doing today. But when you come in, won't you go and like? Let's see if we can get to 100 likes tonight. That'll be a huge thing. If I can reach 100 likes, it'll be marvelous. And so I promised to be on at 10:30. I think it's 10:30 now. You're going to tell me in the comments, in the chat down there. Just tell me which city you're joining from, maybe your name, if you don't mind sharing your first name, and which city you're joining from. So let's get right into this live. So what happened this week? Well, I was going along my normal life here in Italy, doing my daily swim, going for my lovely walks, eating very healthily. I've been on a low carb eating plan. I won't call it a diet because it doesn't feel like a diet. And I've lost, I think, about 12 or 14 kilos, which I'm really happy from the beginning. And so that's all good. So I can fit into some of my old jeans, and perhaps in the near future, I might be able to maybe get some clothes out that haven't fitted me for a while. Don't want to buy any new clothes. Got enough. So yeah, but I could certainly fit into some things that I used to fit into. It's quite cool here. It's September. We had hail today, huge hailstorms, huge rain. It was enormous. So I've got this little wisteria colored coat on because it's nice and cuddly, and I feel the need for something to sort of cuddle me. So why am I doing this live, and what have I got to tell you? Somebody can comment for me down in the comment box, and I will share a link with you there as soon as somebody comments so that I can get that link from you. Okay, so I was going on my normal life, and I think it's 9 days tomorrow. So today is day number 8. I was chatting to my daughter-in-law, my son's wife in Johannesburg. We were on the phone, and she was telling me that Guy hadn't been well. He has had kidney failure for quite a long time. Those of you who followed me already know that, because I've been out to South Africa a few times to try and assist. Anyway, he's had kidney failure for a long time and has been on the transplant list for a new kidney, and he's been on that list for about 6 years now. He has dialysis 3 times a week. It's pretty horrendous. If you know anything about dialysis, you literally have to stay there for 4 or 5 hours while all your blood is pumped around a dialyzer, which removes all the things that your kidneys would normally remove and then puts the blood back into your body. That's how a dialysis works. And he's been having that, and he hasn't been able to get his kidney that he had planned on. Even though he's on the transplant list and everything's been approved, because his heart got too weak and they weren't happy with his numbers. Anyway, he's been working on that very well. And he said to me not a week ago, maybe 2 weeks ago, that his heart was good, the cardiologist was happy, everything was fine. Okay, and that they were simply going to look at his thyroid because they thought they might have to remove part of his thyroid because it was overactive. He had no appetite. He's literally as skinny as a beanpole, and we call him Bean. We've always called him Bean even before he was so skinny, but he's very skinny. Anyway, while I'm talking about Guy, I'm just going to put his photo up so you can see my beautiful son. And this is when he was 20 and visiting us in Italy. I try and keep it so that the shine doesn't get on the photo and therefore you won't be able to see it. So that's Guy. He's now 42. He was younger here. It was on one of his visits to me in Italy. Well, we're talking about Guy tonight. So anyway, he was about to go and see the surgeon for this thyroid operation, which was planned. And as they got to the hospital and were waiting in the doctor's rooms, I was on the phone with his wife, and she said, "Oh my God, Guy can't breathe. We've just got out the car. We're in the doctor's room, and he can't breathe, and he's turning purple. And I've come into A&E, accident and emergency, and I that's all I heard." And then she was speaking to the doctors. I heard her speak to the doctors, and she said he can't breathe. And then she came back on. She said they're doing chest compressions, and they're doing CPR on him. And I just said to her, just breathe, it's going to be fine. We both started praying. We both got such a shock. And so began the hellish last 8 days of my life, our lives. So I'll run through what happened from there. It's still an enormous shock to me, and I'm going to try and keep my emotions in check because you don't really want to see me crying, I'm sure. But those of you who regularly follow me, I'll really appreciate it if you could just hit the like button. That'll help me. Let's try and see if we can get to 100 tonight. Okay, so they took him and they were doing chest compressions, and I was just talking to her, trying to calm her down, saying it's going to be all right, it's okay, whatever. Anyway, then she said, I have to call you back, because she had to go and open a card for him. She had to, give them all his details or whatever. They admitted him into the emergency surgical ICU, which is the intensive care unit. And they came back to her and they said to her, how long was he not breathing for? The doctors came and asked her that. She said, I have no idea. She said, we got out of the car and then we walked into the doctor's offices and we were waiting for the scan, which they hadn't had yet. And they said, well, we need to know how long he was without oxygen. And she said, I don't know. When he started not being able to breathe and turn purple, that's where I ran into you. And I had to get past the security. And anyway, so nobody knew how long he'd been without oxygen. Okay, so they had admitted him to ICU. They put him on a ventilator. And that was 8 days ago in the surgical part of the ICU. Please, won't you go down in the text box when you come and give me your name and the city you're joining from? Helps a lot for me to know who's joining. So, okay, so they admitted him to that unit. We tried to calm each other down on the phone. Binks was beside herself. That's his wife. I didn't know what to do. I'm in Italy. This is in Johannesburg, halfway across the world. This is my darling baby, my son, who's 42. And I just thought, wow, but it's going to be okay. He's going to just rest and be on this ventilator in a coma. So he's in a coma, he's not responding, he's not opening his eyes. And I started to say to her, hold his hand, just talk to him, touch his face, see if, or you could say to him, can you squeeze my hand if you can't respond? There was no response from him at all. So that was day one, and day two was pretty similar. They kept watching his numbers. They kept saying his heart was quite weak. His blood pressure was very low, too low. And so it went on. And because he has kidney failure, which he'd had for years, and has dialysis 3 times a week, he was scheduled to have dialysis that day, just after the doctor visit, which he never had. So they put him on the dialysis machine. They brought a dialysis machine in, and they're slowly dialyzing him while they also, of course, have all these lines going into him. He's got tubes in his arms. He's obviously the ventilator's breathing for him. And they are now concerned how long his brain went without oxygen. And so I think on day 3, we would have a catch-up call every evening with her and me in tears, but we're both praying for each other and both saying he's going to be fine, he's young, he's going to be fine, he's a fighter, he's strong, this isn't going to get him, he's been through so many ups and downs with his kidneys, he's going to be fine. And then we just kept telling each other that. So anyway, the doctors all came, the whole team analyzed him, and they said, okay, they want to do a brain scan because they want to see, what his brain, how long he went without oxygen and what his brain function is. And so that was all done, and they kept checking his levels. They said his infection markers were too high. He had some kind of infection. When he first came in, his infection markers weren't that high, but as the days progressed, they went up. I don't know if one of the lines was infected. I don't know. Whether somehow he had a lung infection. Anyway, they put him on antibiotics. They had him on strong sedatives so that he couldn't speak, he couldn't respond, and he would just heal. And everything that I had read, and everyone who had been through cardiac arrest, I belonged to 2 groups that of people who've been on, had cardiac arrest. Everybody said more or less the same thing. I was in a coma for 5 days or 6 days, or some of them 4 days. And during that time, my family would talk to me. I wouldn't respond, but it really made a difference. So we kept on doing that. Most of them then said, when they tried to bring me out of sedation, I started fighting and they had to tie my hands down and all of that. Okay, so we were expecting that. So on day 4, when they were thinking if they could try and get him off the off the ventilator, when he came out of sedation, he got very agitated and he was trying to pull out his lines or whatever. And apparently this is also very normal. Lots of people do that. They try and get their line, pull the line out and escape from this kind of prison of the ventilator breathing for you. So, we said, we'll manage that. It was quite distressing, but we'll manage it. And then we got to day 6 and they said, look, we need a full body scan. And unfortunately, it wasn't covered by the medical aid program that he's on. He had to get special permission for this full body scan because it costs a fortune. But the doctor said we need it. There's no way we can go ahead without having the scan. So we really need it. Please can you, the doctors were talking to his wife and saying, please, can you contact the medical aid and find out if they can please approve the scan, because we have to have it. It will tell us his brain function. We need to know what's happening with his lung. We need to know everything. Anyway, this was now day 5, and I was under the impression, everybody was under the impression in the family, because this is what we were told, that they did chest compressions on him for about 30 minutes. They lost him and they got him back, and and so the heart started again after 30 minutes. So that's what we thought, and okay, we said, okay, fine. Okay, so then on day 5, they send him for this full body scan, and they have to take him off the ventilator, move him to the room where they gave him the full body scan, and we waited that evening for the results. The evening came, the team came in, and the doctor reported a completely different picture from what we'd been told. Number one, he was resuscitated for 90 minutes. They did chest compressions for 90 minutes. That's an awful long time, going between more than one doctor. I think 4 doctors did chest compressions, because it's very exhausting. If you've ever done chest compressions, if you're an emergency worker or you've ever had to resuscitate one of your family, it's exhausting. Most people can't do it for more than 5 or 10 minutes and they're exhausted. But they maintained chest compressions for 90 minutes. So for 90 minutes, his heart wasn't beating normally. Okay, so we found that out. We thought it was 30 minutes originally. It wasn't. It was 90. They had broken all his ribs. Every single one of his ribs was broken. And as I have said just a minute ago, doing chest compressions is a very violent act. You literally have to try and shock that heart to start beating. And the ribs cover the heart, and the ribs are the sort of skeletal structure that covers everything in the chest, in the thorax. So yeah, chest compressions are quite violent, and 90 minutes of having somebody pounding your chest. They broke all his ribs, so I can't even imagine the pain. And plus his collarbone was also broken, which is what we discovered on this full body scan. So that was a horrible report to get. And they mentioned that his lungs he had a chest infection, he had pneumonia, which was the infection markers that we didn't know what they were. His kidneys were, under stress, and so they'd done this whole scan. Also that he had calcification in his aorta, all his arteries, his heart. So it was a very bleak picture when this full body scan came in. And so that was day 5. And so they said, look, we are now going to manage him. We'll put him on antibiotics. He will continue to have dialysis slowly, bearing in mind that any pain medicine they gave him or sedation has to be managed very carefully, because the purpose of having dialysis is to remove any impurities from your blood. So when you actually are given painkillers, those are medicines that your kidneys would filter, but his kidneys don't function. So the dialysis machine has to take out that medicine, that stuff that your kidneys normally filter, because it's very damaging to the body. Any pain-killing medicine, even antibiotics, all the stuff, these are all toxins to the body, even though we need them as medicine. So the dialysis machine had to be working all the time to do that. So bearing in mind, what happens is that painkiller that could help him with all his broken ribs, all his ribs broken from the resuscitation, and his broken collarbone, he was probably feeling all of that, even though he was sedated, because he can't move. They kind of paralyze you. They keep you very cold so your brain doesn't start, degrading. So very cold, and he had his arms tied down, so he was basically trapped in the bed. He's still like this. I say he is. His hands, so that he couldn't pull out his his tube couldn't pull out the ventilator. Okay, so this was this awful report we got on day 5, that they'd broken all his ribs, that he had pneumonia, that all his arteries, aorta, and his heart were full of calcifications, and he was in a very bad way, and his heart rate was too low, his blood pressure was too low. Okay. That was day 5. Then day 6, a new doctor came into the picture. It was the same team, a very good team. The nursing has been very good, I must say. Guy's wife says they've been very kind, and overall the team is excellent, and he's in a very good ICU unit, for which I'm incredibly grateful for, because without his medical aid, which costs a fortune every month, I don't think I would be here. Anyway, so then she said day 6, she said it's all looking up, his infection's coming down, everything's going to be fine, and we want to start trying to reduce the sedation, bring him out of the coma, and see how he responds. We want to see, what his brain's doing, what is happening. We want to do all of that. So that's what they said. I don't know what's going on. Anyway, I'm trying to see if there's any messages so far. I can't see any messages. No. Okay, no problem. Okay, so that was day 6 then. I was so stressed and so worried. We all were, and we just never knew. We never knew what to do. I can't see the messages, and quite frankly, I can't see where to leave a message to welcome you and to tell you how to join. Are there messages? I don't know. I don't know if they're messages, but anyway, I'd really like to share the link with you, but if you're watching this back later, it'll be in the description box. For those of you watching now, I will try and put it on the screen at some stage. Okay, so we're on day 6. We have this terrible report. I was beside myself, being that I'm in Italy. Johannesburg is a long way away. I don't know what to do. I don't know whether to just drop everything and go immediately there, but it could get worse. And my feeling is that once I'm there, I need to stay there, because they need help, they need assistance, they need support. My grandchild needs to go to school. He needs someone to be with him in the afternoon, because Guy's wife has to work, and so she gets to the hospital. And as she said, it would be lovely if you could sit with him and talk to him and play music to him while I'm working and, picking up aid and going home and cooking and whatever. Either way, or I could be the grandmother's babysitting and doing the cooking, and she could be sitting with him when she's not at work. So it's been really difficult for him. Okay, so went day 6. The doctors would come in and wouldn't give a report until about 12 o'clock, and by then we were going crazy. Please go and like the like button if you're watching. It helps me enormously. Let's try and see if we can up the like quotient. I don't know what's happening with the messages, but leave a message if you'd like. So and so we went day 6, and then every day they would say, tomorrow morning we're going to reduce the sedation, we're going to take him off the ventilator, and in order to take him off the ventilator, we need to give him a tracheotomy, which means they, make a hole in your trachea, and that's for the breathing tube, everything. They feed you everything, so that he doesn't have to continue with the ventilator. So every day they would start this process and say, okay, we're going to reduce the sedation the night before, and then we're going to do the tracheotomy. So every day for the last 4 days, and for 4 days even before that. We waited for this procedure to happen. They were waiting for his infection markers to come down. They would bring him slightly out of sedation and then see if what his heart was doing, what his brain was doing by the scans they did, to see if they could do a tracheotomy to get him off the ventilator. For anybody who's ever been on a ventilator long term or been in a coma, you'll know this process. I had to be informed about it because I didn't know. But it was enormously stressful and is enormously stressful for me and my whole family. And quite frankly, I'm so shell-shocked. And I have been updating in my Facebook the two groups, the Cardiac Arrest Survivor group and the Long QT Heart group, and updating every day because everyone was asking what's happening with Guy. People were giving me their advice about what had happened to them or what had happened to their families and what to expect, all this kind of stuff. But yeah, exhausting, and I haven't slept well, as you can imagine, and things are pretty bad. And then what happened about 3 days ago, I decided that due to the fact that I'd used up my savings this year, because it's been a pretty bad year for various other reasons, and due to the fact that I live on a very small budget and I don't have an emergency fund just available, and that I don't have a credit card I can run up anymore. I just live a simple life and my income is much reduced, that I would try, and this is where things turned really nasty and terrible, that I would try and set up a GoFundMe to fund the ticket to fly to Guy as soon as possible, so that I didn't have to wait for me to collect the money that I was trying to collect in bits and pieces. And I set it up for 1,600 because that's what most of the tickets were to buy for a last minute ticket, if that's what you want to call it. Obviously, if you book 6 months in advance, the ticket's cheaper. And that's where the problem started. And I started to share it in these two groups that I'd been in for years and helped many people, and never needed assistance myself, never needed much support other than my own small heart issues, which were under control. Because I have a genetic arrhythmia, but it's all under control, which Guy has also inherited. Anyway, so I set this thing up, and it was very slow, and I was promoting. Well, I say promoting, I was linking it in the group, and people were saying, okay, whatever. But it was just incredibly slow, and the donations were incredibly slow. And then these horrible messages started to come through, and it started like a sort of trickle of rain, and then it was like a hailstorm, and eventually it became a nightmare that I was managing this incredible hate and bullying on Facebook in these groups, with people saying the most horrendous things, that I was a thief and I was a liar. There was nothing wrong with my son. I had stolen some random young man's photo online, and I was just putting it on Facebook and just trying to get money from a GoFundMe fund. It was horrendous. And so initially I started to explain, no, actually, you know me in this group. I've met physically, face to face, many people in this group. I've been on Facebook, and most of my friends on Facebook that I've worked with or been with or know for over 20 years. I'm not a fraud, and this is a real situation. And at the same time as them asking for an update on Guy, they started to conflict everything I said is, how could he have kidney disease and have had a cardiac arrest? And so this flood of bullying and horrendousness came down. And that's what I want to talk about tonight, other than sharing Guy's cardiac arrest, which has taken a huge toll on me, and not only me, but the whole family. I don't have anybody here in Italy that I could, chat to about this, and but I've tried to be a support to his wife, and we're all just hoping and praying that each day when the doctors say that they're going to be able to get him off the respirator and give him a tracheotomy, that they will be able to. And so this Facebook, I call it a war because it was literally, I was under attack. The horrendous messages, the horrendous things that were said, the way that this group of, I don't know, I think there might be 2,000 people in there, just started to, it started like a small fire, and then it just spread. And I used to live in Cape Town, where the mountains burnt every year. Those of you who've been in the California fires, you'll know. It started as a fire, and then you'd try and put that fire out, and then it would spread. And then there were just millions of comments and messages coming, and accusations and terrible stuff. It was horrendous. And some of the more sensible, decent people said, just ignore it. Don't feed the trolls. Don't counteract them. Don't say anything. Just go. But I couldn't. It was horrendous. They were being so disrespectful to Guy, to me, telling me I was a liar, a thief, or whatever. And in the meantime, I mean, the donations were trickling, and it was like €5, €10. I was immensely grateful for those 5 and 10 euros, because, every little helps. And then they just stopped. They completely stopped. I was way off the target that I'd set, the very minimal target of 1,600, and they just stopped. And Facebook had literally shut down that stream the second day it was up. And then this whole terrible nightmare started on Facebook. So as of today, which is day 8 of Guy's being in a coma, I decided that I am getting off Facebook forever. I wrote a post. I should perhaps read it to you. Where's my other phone? I could read it to you and tell you what I said. Oh, there it is. This is what I said, because I couldn't take it anymore. It was becoming so horrendous and so terrible. I had to post it. So I'm going to read to you what I put on Facebook. I thought long and hard about this, and people said, look, you've been on forever. You contribute so much to so many in all the groups. How can you possibly get off Facebook? Don't do this. Yeah. Anyway, I did respond, and it hurt me enormously, and it is still hurting me. And so I decided to do this. Okay. Yeah, to the fact that people were saying, oh, your brother had a heart attack and you asked for money for him. I've never done such a thing in my life. I've never done any of these things. It's just a nightmare. Anyway, this is what I wrote. Eventually, after the bullying, I couldn't stop it. I couldn't respond to them. I guess I made a decision to get off Facebook. And I'd love to know in the comments what you would have done in my situation. Right. I am deleting my Facebook. 20 years of relationships on all continents, and many of them I worked with and helped over the years. NB, if you want to maintain a relationship with me, I suggest you send me a direct message in the next 12 hours so we can share email addresses or telephone numbers. I will not update on Guy in ICU again on Facebook. Both he and I have been disrespected and abused by a nasty core group of blood-sucking insects. That's all I could think to write for what I felt about them without being banned from Facebook. And that's what they are, blood-sucking insects that inhabit the Facebook groups I belonged to for years and contributed so much to. If you were one of my long-term friends in real life who never messaged me, but who checked up on me silently occasionally to see if I was still alive on Facebook, bye-bye. Because if the attacks and bullying that has happened to me on here since I set up the GoFundMe a couple of days ago represents even 5% of Facebook, I want no part of it. It's over. Thank you to all the lovely people who faithfully sent messages, prayers, and love, and even donations to the small GoFundMe I set up for the ticket to get to my son in Johannesburg. May you be blessed. You may never know how that has kept me going for the past 9 days and counting since Guy had his cardiac arrest. Thank you from my heart. Don't let's lose touch. Message me. To the demons who inhabited these Facebook pages and destroy people's lives for fun, go to hell. That is what I wrote, and I will give you some of the messages that followed. Simon, I'm so sorry to hear. Social media is the pits so often. Why are people so nasty? Keep strong. These are all people I know personally. So sorry that all of this is happening to you. So sorry this has happened to you, Amanda. Sending you strength and prayers and love. I'm so sorry. So I've got hundreds and hundreds of messages from decent people who say, ignore Facebook, it's horrendous. But then I get these kind of messages, okay? This is out of the sudden cardiac arrest group, which I belong to for some time, okay? Because I have heart issues. And of course I posted in here because that is exactly what happened to Guy. And I had got some very good advice from people in the group as to what to expect with him, what to expect while he was in the coma. But here's a typical post that has come through. I am not a big poster in this group, but they have been very helpful to me since my cardiac arrest 10 years ago. Please do your research before you proceeded with financial support. I mean, a GoFundMe is now called financial support. Things have unfortunately changed in this world, and I believe we need to look out for each other. I don't know what she's trying to say, but not everything is what they seem. I hope your son recovers as he appears to have recovered from his July kidney failure that required you to ask for funds to donate a kidney to him after getting additional funds from your family. Karma. I mean, on the one hand, this woman is insane. She's saying, I hope your son's going to be fine and he recovers. But then she accuses me of asking for funds another time and then writes karma. So I answered. This is when I was still stupid enough to answer these people. He hasn't recovered. He's never had the transplant. He's been on dialysis since then. And recently his heart was too weak, and so they can't operate. He is being dialyzed even now as he's in a coma. I never raised 1 cent in 2019. So I don't know what you're talking about. I find kindness to be the best policy when dealing with people. Clearly you don't. I wish you your own karma. And then she comes back, and your brother, this is absolute nonsense. I don't even have a brother. You started a GoFundMe account in 2021 as well for his open heart surgery. This is absolute nonsense. Nonsense. I'm very kind to people that deserve kindness. Thank you for your wishes, but my karma is excellent. So I've just answered. I don't have a brother. I don't know who you're mixing me up with, but please leave me alone. So these are the kind of horrendous messages. I I screenshotted some of them because I couldn't believe the meanness and the terrible things. It was a mixture of people saying, "Oh, well, how is he? What's going on?" And then I got other lovely messages like, "A tracheotomy helped my daughter finally get off the ventilator. It was a good move for us." Lots of prayers, lots of lovely things, and in between this horrible, 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 horrible bullying and attacking that I would literally drive me crazy. Okay, I see your messages. People can be so cruel. Hi, yeah, exactly. Yeah, exactly. I don't know how I can actually answer you on a message. Let's see if I can. Anyway, yeah. It's just horrendous. But anyway, so I was getting a mixture of very useful things like another guy whose family had had a cardiac arrest who said, there's a limit of time before the being on the ventilator becomes very bad for health outcomes, and better he'll be off. And then a beautiful friend of mine who's a cardiologist in England, a wonderful, wonderful consultant specialist who's so busy and so kind. And he wrote me a message and he said, "You bring joy whenever I see you. And please don't take any of these messages to heart." So at the same time as these people being so incredibly cruel and nasty, I mean, I don't want to read the nasty ones because, yeah. Anyway, at the end in this group, I found it necessary for me in the group to make an explanation. Yeah, maybe I'm dumb. Maybe I should have just ignored all this stuff, but I was being attacked. And it completely stalled my GoFundMe. It completely stalled it because people were making wild accusations about things I'd done in 2021. I never wrote a thing on Facebook in 2021 about anybody, certainly not a brother. I don't have one. Okay, so I wrote on this group that had been for 20 years. I am being questioned about a GoFundMe that I set up for my son to go and visit him. I have never received so much abuse in my life. Believe me, what I have been through on Facebook this week has been brutal. My GoFundMe was set up on day 6 of Guy being in a coma, as I just told you guys, because I desperately wanted to get there and see him. We are now on day 9 of him being in a coma, and yesterday, after they failed to get him off the respirator due to his blood pressure and heart rate, it became even more desperate to get there if possible. I asked for a target of 1,600 as a total. A return ticket to Johannesburg costs between 1,200 and 1,400 with all the taxes and luggage and extras that they throw in. The base rate is lower than that. I had thousands of people sending me cheap flights that weren't even on the right route, telling me I was wasting money, telling me I didn't know what I was doing, telling me if I went via Africa and spent 24 hours in a hellhole airport, I could get it for €100 cheaper. You can't even believe what people go to. They won't spend €5 donation because apparently that would be beyond the pale, but they will spend 6 hours researching on a bunch of nonsense to post it and be right on Facebook. The armchair warriors, the online trying to be heroes. It's so shocking. So I was asked to provide an explanation, and this is what I wrote. Okay. A return ticket to Johannesburg costs between 1,200 and 1,400 with all the taxes and luggage, etc. Obviously, if I could book 6 months in advance, it would be less, but I can't. I want to go now. One would think you wouldn't have to explain how desperate I am to see him, but yes, apparently I do have to explain it in this group. I don't have family to assist me. My son's wife works to support them and their child. It's very tough, and we doubt now how they will cover the enormous shortfall there will be on the medical aid. As for the GoFundMe, as of today, it's sitting at 600. It's gone up slightly since that because I shared it with my ex-colleagues, and I will share it now in the description box. So if you feel you want to donate a little bit, or you can't donate anything, but you want to share the link to wherever you want to share it, I don't care where you share it. You can share it on your WhatsApp, you can share it on your YouTube channel if you have one, you can share it via email, you can share it on your Facebook, you can share it wherever you like. I don't mind. Please, it'll help me enormously. And so I've already put it in the description box. If you go and look when I go offline, or you're watching this back later, the GoFundMe is in the description box, and every little helps. Please don't think I can't donate more than, I don't know what the minimum is. Maybe it's 5, I don't know. Every little helps, please. Okay. So let me go back to my explanation that I had to give these people. So that's why I set up the GoFundMe. I had no other choice. The problem is that you cannot, and then I had millions of people send me a thing saying, why don't you buy a one-way ticket? So I had to answer that question too, because people think they know everything. The problem is that you cannot buy a one-way ticket from Europe to South Africa unless you have South African citizenship or a permanent resident stamp in your passport. And I think it's true for most countries. I can't go to America on a one-way ticket. They're going to say to me, are you resident here? Are you American citizen? If not, why are you coming here on a one-way ticket? Are you going to stay here? No, I'm just coming here to visit somebody. Well, why have you come in? And by the way, I wouldn't even get as far as America because the plane, when I boarded the plane and gave my ticket in, they wouldn't let me on the plane because the airline gets fined for taking people on the plane who shouldn't be on it. So there we are. So I had to explain to them, I have neither. I have legions of people telling me I can take cheap flights to Africa via some hellhole 24-hour layover. I can't, but I do appreciate your research. By now I'm becoming slightly sardonic. As for the GoFundMe, it's sitting at about, I don't know, 800 or something. So there you are. About 20 people found it in their hearts to donate between 5 and 50 euros. So that's what I messaged. Okay? And I put up the photo of me and Guy when Guy was still quite young and came to visit me in Italy, and we're both at you'll know what that is, the Leaning Tower of Pisa. I don't know if I can get that any clearer, really. It's just a posted photo, so it's not that clear. But here is Guy, and very beloved in our family, has the sweetest eyes, the loveliest smile. He's now 42. He's a father, he's a husband, and he deserves so much more than what is happening to him right now. And I will not have him be disrespected anymore. And so, please, if you find it in your heart, if you just like to share the link or donate whatever you can, I would be so appreciative. But please, if you feel you don't want to donate, that's also fine. And I relish you watching. I'm so happy that you're with me, and thank you for joining wherever you're joining from. And I now see that the comments are starting. And so, yeah, I just wish I knew how I could comment. Perhaps somebody could inform me how I can comment, because I normally do this on my phone, on my computer, not my phone, so I can't really see how I can comment. Let me just keep going and see if I can. No. Yeah. I don't know. I truly don't know how I can leave a comment. Anyway, it's in the description box. What's that? Start a poll, start a Q&A. No. Why don't I say? Okay. So I'm going to start a poll. Would you react to Facebook trolls. So yeah, I've done a poll. I've never done a poll
Quindi lascia
before.
che la lavatrice Whirlpool con tecnologia Sense Wash pensi al bucato.
Okay, there's a
Mentre
poll.
Amazon si occupa della consegna e dell'installazione di tutto
So
il
anyway,
resto.
you guys,
Giochi
I don't know how
per
I
le
can
cose che
get that
contano
off.
davvero.
It's right up here. I'll try and put it down.
Siamo chi siamo, siamo
Yeah.
arrivati qui come eravamo.
So 100% said no, they wouldn't. Oh, sorry, wait. I've got an advert that's come on here, and I hope that doesn't get me copyright. Okay, so I don't know. It was just horrendous, and all of the stress has gone into my back. My back is in agony because when you're under huge stress, and I've been under stress for all the days that Guy's been in ICU and been in a coma, and I have just stored all that stress, all that pain in my back, just trying to deal with all these trolls every day. And so I just want you to send out prayers and love and care to this darling, darling man, this son of mine, who needs your prayers, who needs your love. He's in intensive care tonight. Just send good vibes out to him. His name's Guy. His very sweet wife has been holding strong, and his little son, who is 10, and my grandchild, my beloved grandchild. I ask you please to send out, write in the comments all your prayers and love for him. And if you join it later when I'm not online anymore and you watch this back, please leave all your messages and your comments there. And as I mentioned, if you want to donate something small, it will be in the description box, the link. Thank you so much. And if you want to share it somewhere else, I'll also appreciate that. So please send out your prayers and your love and your care for Guy. If you've just come in, he's in a coma. He's been in a coma for 8 days on a respirator in intensive care in Johannesburg. And I started a GoFundMe so I, his mother, can go from Italy to see him soon. I have been tortured by this 8-day wait and also by all the trolling I have received on Facebook since I started the GoFundMe for a very small amount of money. So please, if you want to react to the poll, would you have reacted to these Facebook trolls that I read out? You can go back and watch that, saying the most horrendous things, calling me a thief and a liar for setting up a simple GoFundMe. I've been doing lives on YouTube for so many years. I can't even count the number of years. I have given so much to this community and never asked for a cent. I don't have a Patreon. I don't even have a Buy Me Coffee because I just, I just share and try to be helpful online. And I've always done that on my YouTube channel. Oh, thank you. I'm going to read. I'm sending him all the best. How can I donate? It's in the description box, the link. I don't know how to send a message here. But if you look in the description box, the link is in the description box. Okay? And you can donate there. Okay. So that's Guy. And I pray, and I have just literally been focusing on my beautiful garden roses with all this hate that's coming at me from Facebook. So that's what I'm sharing with you tonight. Please, if you don't mind, first of all, could you like this because it helps it to be shown on YouTube? Just go and like the video right now, and please comment whatever you want to comment. And I appreciate if you watch this back later. Maybe you couldn't join the live, but if you watch this back later, won't you please go and leave a comment for Guy, because when he recovers and when I get to him, I'm going to read him all your lovely comments. And if you regularly watch me and you just come across this later, it's taken me 8 days to post this because I just didn't feel in the state, I didn't have the emotional strength to come online and do this live, but tonight I am, and you can go back and see that I have actually taken myself off Facebook, and tomorrow I will delete every photo and every presence I ever had on Facebook, and I will never ever allow myself to be bullied and abused the way that I have on Facebook these past 9 days. And that Guy will heal and recover. I look forward to all your prayers. Please pray. If all you can do is pray, if you can share the message, get it out. If you can share this video, that's another way you can help. If you can simply just like the video or leave a comment, all of it helps. I thank you so much. Let's get the likes up on this video so YouTube shows it to more people, and let's get Guy prayed up, and please pray for me for the strength to go there. I should think that I will leave tomorrow or the day after and be able to be with him. I don't know how long I'm going to have to be there because I need to help the family. I need to help with my grandchild so that his wife can work. His recovery is going to be long, so I'm going to be there a long time, maybe a month, maybe 2 months, I don't know. So that GoFundMe is going to be very useful even after I get there. And it's just a small amount. It's a cup of coffee for most people. If you don't have it, I understand. I'm not asking anybody to send what they can't afford, but just even a €5, whatever, it all adds up. And the GoFundMe will help me to be there. I'm away from Italy. I still have to pay my rent while I'm away. I still have to live while I'm there and help Guy and help his family. So please, I ask you, whatever you can do, prayer is very welcome. Good wishes, comments, all of it. It's wonderful. And I know that probably, on the live, you maybe don't want to comment, but if you want to leave a comment, not right now, and you're watching, go down to the comment box, just tell us where you're joining from and leave a comment. I appreciate it so much. And if you'd rather not do that, when the video finishes, which will be in a few minutes, you can go and leave a comment on the video in the normal way if you don't want to leave a comment on the live. And you can check out the description box where I've left the link. Thank you so much for joining, and thank you so much for your care and your love. And to my regulars who always join me, please pray for Guy. Please send out thoughts to whoever you believe in. All will be gratefully received. Thank you for joining, and I hope that the next time I'm on here, it will be me sitting with Guy and I can show you that he's recovered and he's better. That's what I pray, and hopefully on Saturday I will be in the aeroplane on my way to Johannesburg to see my boy. Please don't let it be too late, please. Thank you for joining. Thank you for all the love and care, and see you on the next one. I will be updating on, I don't know when, perhaps next week, but as soon as there's some good news, I will be updating. So I look forward to that moment when I can share good news with you about Guy. And so see you on the next one. And if you'd like to share this with somebody else who's going through something similar, I really would appreciate it. The more you share it, the more likes it gets, the more comments it gets, the more engagement it gets, the more YouTube will show it to more people. So please, I ask you, that's another way you can help us with the actual sharing of the video. Thank you so much. Thank you again. Thank you so much. See you on my next update. I said I wouldn't get emotional, and of course, how can I not? And thank you all for all your love and care, and see you on the next one. Just positivity. I just need positivity. Thank you so much. See you on the next one. Bye now. Bye. Bye. Bye.